it's Paul Ryan with another journey into the music industry, specifically music revenue. And today I'm going to look at some numbers, and numbers can be really boring, but these are critical numbers if you want to get into how all the little pockets of revenue are being spread around between the DSPs, consumer spending, genres. This is the start of that. A report by AC Nielsen indicates that 40% of music fans account for 75% of the spending on music. Now, this report's different from the company's active music consumer report that I've been citing in other shows. That's the one where I talk about the 254 million active music consumers. In the latter case, Nielsen is breaking this 254 million into clusters when they talk about the 40%. So I'm going to use both Nielsen numbers. A total of 75% of Americans actively seek out and listen to music, right? 254 million. Here I'm going to assume two things. One, all spending comes from this group of 254 million. And two, all 254 million of them spend to some degree or other, some a lot, some a little. And in a minute, I'm going to look at the lot and a little bit closer. Nielsen's second number says that 40% of music spenders account for 75% of the spending. Now, with any number like this is a critical sort of cross point getting into all the details of how revenue is being spent on music. So I'm going to provide a cross-check on these Nielsen numbers. And I'm going to turn to something that's well known in market research. It's called Pareto's Law, or the law of the heavy half. It's true for every industry, from restaurants to cars to anything, curtains, anything. It applies to music as well. Here's what Pareto's Law says. Quote, the law of the heavy half, Pareto's Law, says that for any product or service, 20% of the consumers will contribute 80% of the revenues, while 80% of the consumers contribute 20% of the revenues. The heavy half for music, according to Nielsen, 40%, that's 40% contribute 75% of the revenues. So it's less dramatic or less extreme than Pareto, but it's pretty close. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on the next step, but I'm going to apply something that we call quintiles. All that is we divide, I'm talking about we as the corporate we in market research, applying it to music. You divide a population into fifths, equal numbers. So I'm going to divide music consumers into fifths, 5 equally populated groups. Now, Pareto's Law can be applied to determine a general idea of music's spending clusters. Remember, Nielsen said 40%, so that would be your top two clusters. In 2026, the recorded music industry will total $18.3 billion, of which streaming accounts for 15.4 or 84% of that. We know that already. But let's see how that breaks down now using quintiles, the AC Nielsen numbers, and also Pareto's Law. Let's see if they all match. So what I've done is, I've got a chart here. You can't see it because this is audio, but I've got a chart here which divides the 254 million active music consumers into fifths, and each one's about 50 million consumers. Now, the top fifth, these are the very heavily engaged, the heaviest users, the heaviest buyers of music. They're going to contribute $9.2 billion. In streaming, $7.7 billion. The second group, second 50 million, contributes $4.6 billion, 3.9 streaming. So that's 42% and 21%, respectively, of the music spending. So that's good news. All the numbers, the Nielsen studies, the old Statista reports, my own application of Pareto's Law, my own application of quintiles, all say the same thing. There are 254 million active music consumers in the United States, representing 75% of the population, And if my math is correct, this means that $18.3 billion total revenue in the recorded music industry breaks out just like this. The average annual dollars spent by music consumers is $72. The average annual dollars spent by the top 20%, these are the heaviest spenders, $180. This group's about 51 million people, and they account for 42% of all music revenues. Adding the next group, the average annual dollars spent by the top 40%, this is 100 million people, the average spending is $116, or 63% of all music revenues. The $15.4 billion in total streaming revenues, we'll go through the same exercise. Average annual streaming dollars spent by the average consumer is $61, but by the highest spenders, $151, and the highest two groups, $97. I can now take this information and apply it to just about anything you want to look at, from genres, how it splits out, to DSPs, how it splits out, to labels, to anything you want to do. I now have the magic bullet. Everything seems to align. So next week we're going to look further into that, and we're going to look at music genres first.
It's that time in Sound Threads where Paul will play one of his songs. Hope you enjoy.
And this week's song is titled How Brightly You Shine. It's a song on my Second Time digital album, so it's available at ryantunes.com and all of our digital stores, our online stores. Possibly you've had someone close to you who's going through a rough patch. And if so, you know, it can seem almost impossible to make them feel better, get them help, or do much for them, really. From the outside, though, you can see all the greatness and possibilities that person might possess. You see their inner beauty and the joy that they have brought to others. You wait for things to turn around. How brightly you shine.
When the world's upside down, you feel helpless and small. When there's no end in sight, nothing stopping your fall. It's hard to imagine all the hurt you've been through. When one of life's moments brought you nothing that's good, take a long look inside to a place way down deep. See how brightly you shine. That's what others can see. Closes in, don't let that special glow fade. That's the key that will lock the pain and darkness away. Take a long look inside to a place way down deep. See how brightly you shine. See what others can see.
And now, here is this week's episode of The Musical Life of Freddie Spaghetti.
In the last episode of The Musical Life of Freddie Spaghetti, we learned that Freddie is about to go on a second tour. This one would last for 6 months. And today, Freddie is meeting with Rob Delroy at the Delta offices in Buffalo, New York. Before this morning's meeting, Delta had been sending the numbers to Freddie on tour number 1. However, Freddie's not big on reading numbers. He considers the information somewhere between totally confusing and totally boring. Most times, the information was sent electronically by Delta's number crunchers and were usually just a blizzard of charts and tiny, hard-to-read little numbers. So Freddie didn't spend much time on them, but replied to each note with a friendly thank you and a smile emoji. About a week ago, Rob called Freddie directly about the tour, the first tour. This was unusual, Freddie thought. But during that call, and again this morning, Freddie has never seen Rob so excited or animated. And there was good reason. Freddie's first 13-week tour was the third most successful in the entire history of Delta Records. The company utilizes various ways to gauge success, from ticket sales to website activity to streaming downloads, merchandise sales. And by every single measure, the tour was a smash hit. At the same time, the social media activity began to trend upwards around week 5 and had been climbing ever since. The meeting that morning begins with Delta's president, Jason Spencer, entering Delroy's office and reintroducing himself to Freddie. "Yes, sir, I remember," Freddie says, shaking the boss's hand. Spencer then grabs a chair and sits down next to Freddie. Both look across the desk at Delroy, who begins by recapping the first tour. Rob flicks the back of his fingers at the page as he's reading to emphasize each single bullet point. 5th highest for audience attendance, 4th for streams, 3rd overall, 1st for performance satisfaction, and 2nd for website activity. We hit the $100,000 that we were dreaming about. Freddie was waiting for a but. "But we can do better," Delroy continues without breaking stride. Jason Spencer asks Delroy to explain. "Thank you," Freddie says. "Geez, I'm not a big star, guys. I'm just Freddie." Delroy reaches across his desk and grabs another document. Freddie can see it has more numbers. That's just the tour. There's more going on here. The song Talking Man is in high demand. So Rob believes the timing is right now, to put it on a record and release it during the second tour. Streams don't pay, but a great video and some promotion sure will. After reciting all the good news, Delroy is careful to maintain the upper hand in the meeting. After all, he can't allow Freddie to get a swelled ego like many of Delta's other clients had. At the same time, though, he's going to be asking Spencer for a larger financial commitment to promote Freddie's band on the second tour. Delroy puts the paper down and looks at Freddie. "Look, the timing's right for Talking Man. You're one of the fortunate ones. It's not uncommon for a rookie musician to wait much longer to have a release, sometimes years, sometimes never." The recording sessions took place over a week at Delta's studios. Freddie went in to record a draft track. This was followed by Syndergaard and a drummer. Then a few days later, a studio pianist. Finally, Freddie and Jeannie Hooks went in to lay down their vocals. And when it was all done, Freddie and Delroy joined the Delta producers to watch the mixing of the song. They each made little notes, offered comments, and every once in a while people would say something. But once everyone was satisfied, Talking Man became a record. Thank you for listening to Sound Threads. Remember to come back right here next week for another edition of Sound Threads.